We're going to talk about today considerations when bringing home a puppy when you have other pets in the home. So I'm going to drop this on the screen. Bringing home a puppy with other pets in the home. We're going to talk about 3 different types of pets and considerations with that. Number 1 is birds and small animals. For the most part, here's the deal. This is a common assessment when people come to me with a puppy is they're considering and thinking about an already established dog. So I want to make this very clear. This is bringing a puppy home, a puppy you can guide their emotional responses, you can guide them through expectation, you can train them, where in some cases you can't do a lot of that if you bring in an older established dog. In some ways it's kind of you get what you get. What's happened if they've been allowed to act on their prey drive, you can't, it's really difficult to take that back. And so again, we're going to talk about a brand new malleable puppy that you got from a good breeder, a breeder that was also able to gauge in their evaluation their prey drive. Why would we want to know if you're taking home a high prey drive puppy? Because it's important when you have young children and other animals in the home, especially smaller animals. It does not mean this puppy has a greater chance of killing your bird or your hamster, but they do have a higher prey drive, so you just need to know that going in. They're going to be more excited. They're going to have some over-arousal upon movement because that's just their drive, right? Like, I kind of feel like sometimes it's those people that just have this high drive to accomplish, and you just look at them and you're like, I'm so exhausted by even all the things you accomplish. Like, I just don't have that much energy or motivation. Even like our doctors, the commitment and drive they have had to have to get through medical school and then be a doctor, right? So that can kind of be equated sometimes to prey drive and motivation. They just have this higher desire and need that other dogs just don't have. So prey drive with birds that fly, that's absolutely going to entice any puppy. Any movement will excite a puppy. That's just reality. They love to chase and they love to be chased. That's why when you're out running around trying to chase your puppy to collect them and you think they're being stubborn or ornery on purpose, they're playing their favorite game. You guys be all getting frustrated with this puppy that keeps running from you. When you run toward them to pick them up, you're literally telling your puppy you want to play chase, tag, you're it. Boom. When you watch 2 dogs that are playing correctly and politely, they take turns who chases, right? So watch dog play and you can learn. Never chase a puppy. Never ever, because you're not doing anything other than telling them to run from you. You're not telling them anything other than you've started a game of tag, you're it. So remember, any kind of movement when your cat runs, the dog thinks they're playing. They're being pushed into play mode, and it's very easy to get a puppy in play mode. Now, prey drive is the desire to, essentially hunt, right? And that's bred into dogs. Some breeds more than others, some puppies more than others. It's not 100% accurate at 8 weeks to really see if there's prey drive, because some puppies don't really even display it in their evaluation, so we mark it medium. It doesn't mean they can't have more of a prey drive, because prey drive is one of the temperament traits that can be skewed based on other. For example, if the puppy comes in with lower confidence, they're going to move slower, so the energy is going to be skewed, and they're not going to be in the state of mind to chase and tug and shake. It doesn't mean they won't. It just meant that, unfortunately, there's no perfect test. Just like with people, there's always factors. Nothing's black and white. And so as often as I trust the breeder. So if they've seen them have good like a good amount of energy, and they've seen them have a good amount of prey drive, that they'll make notes in the evaluation that, hey, look, I understand you don't see this on the evaluation, but I know this puppy, this was a confidence issue skewing these results. All right. So anyway, all dogs love to chase. So with birds and small animals, though, they definitely, there's been a lot of dogs bred for what? Bird hunting. And then you have this bird. But remember, we have a young puppy, and we can teach them some self-control, which is just a beautiful thing. I would never, ever trust a puppy initially, especially if they were shaking their toy and their evaluation, like that kill drive, essentially prey drive. I would just be a little more careful and never ever leave any bird or reptile or, like a little hamster unattended with your puppy. I think ultimately I would teach them respect with their cage. So anything that's in, a bird cage or a hamster cage, a rodent cage, I would teach them respect about the cage first and foremost. And then I would never even put either one at jeopardy. Now, if it's a larger bird, and birds can be sassy as heck, thank God, like we got 2 peacocks that showed up. It doesn't matter what dog is out. Doesn't matter if a dog is chasing them. They are able to drop the boundaries and let the dog know, I'm not going to play. And they have demanded respect from every single dog here. Doesn't mean that some of my dogs with higher prey drive haven't wanted to chase them and eat them, but they're big enough they can stand up for themselves. So with a young puppy, if you have a bird, and it's a bird that's out on their perch a lot, it's not always in the cage, you can start introducing them and just be ready. Or ideally, if the bird puts them right in their spot as a puppy, this is a beautiful thing. Like, you're not going to have issues later on. But again, always, I would never leave them unattended either, because sometimes just that play-prey drive can be triggered in a way, and especially if you're not there as the alpha, and they know that, puppies will do things mischievously, of course. And so really just not leave them unattended and create some respect for their space. You have to do that if the bird will not. Good morning, Colleen and Ara. All right, number 2, cats. Of course, a lot of people have cats. We are both cat and dog lovers. Here's my advice on a cat. You have one of 2 cats. One cat that will absolutely stand up for themselves, and one that will not. They'll run and hide. Who do you think is going to be chased? The one that runs. Who do you think needs to be protected more? The one that runs. But who gets more grief from a puppy? The one that runs, right? So those cats that are they're not going to stand up for themselves, you have to do that. You have to create space through baby gates, a small cat door. You have to honor your cat and make sure they can get to a safe place in case that chase game it will happen. And it's not that the puppy is trying to chase your cat to kill it. Remember, we're dealing with an 8-week-old puppy, 8 to 16 weeks. So as long as you're there and you start that guidance and the cat becomes part of the pack, you're not bringing in an older dog that you don't know the history of, that maybe has actually killed a cat, at some point in their life. So with the malleable young puppy, again, it's such a gift. One reason why so many want to just get an 8-week-old puppy, so that they can raise them the way they want their dog to be. So in the case of where the cat runs, you have to set those boundaries and limitations. And remember, you have to correct the puppy prior to chasing. Because if the puppy starts chasing the cat, what do? You start chasing the puppy. You're just adding to the fun. And you're telling your puppy, that's right, we chased the cat. Ooh, that's exactly what we're not trying to do. So think about communicating with your puppy correctly. So they'll chase the first time. Nothing, you can clap and tell them no, no, no. But if you haven't set that foundation strong enough yet, that doesn't do anything, because their intensity, their arousal, their excitement, this is like the best game in the world, is so high that you just saying no and clapping might not even get into their head. They may go ear deaf, man. And so I just, if I know the cat's going to run and jump up on the dresser in my room, I'll just follow them walking and get the puppy and pick him up. Now that's my cue and your cue. You have to start some training. The goal is, the only way this works is if you catch the puppy before they start the chase. Let me repeat. You have to catch the puppy before they start the chase. Well, what the hell do I mean by that? I mean, dogs give you clues. Dogs don't do something without giving you a warning. They don't bite. They won't bite you prior to giving you a warning. They won't bark prior to giving a warning. They won't chase prior to giving a warning. That warning may literally be a second long. So you already know the puppy's going to chase the cat. Your job as a responsible dog owner is to now be like, all right, we got some training to do, which means if you can't watch the puppy and another chase happens, you've even got more work to do. If it's 3 times and you didn't catch them, you even have more work to do. So your goal is to set yourself up for success. Make sure it can't happen until you are ready. Consider it training. I need to catch the puppy prior. Your 1 second warning, whoop, ears maybe pinned a little bit or go up. They go into this freeze state. They're like, all right, I think this game is going to start. And it may only be 1 second warning, but you will know if you watch your puppy, and many of you should know this already if you have dogs. They give you that like, whoa, cat, there's the cat, let's chase. They freeze and they're very alert. No. That's what you correct with a simple just what I did. You have to stop. You have to break that thought in their mind and let them know that's not acceptable. They know exactly what they're being scolded for. Anytime you scold a puppy during or after, you are your chance of success in correcting it is low. The dog's already in the high state of arousal. They think you're joining in, like, for example, by chasing the puppy while chasing the cat. You're just joining in, trying to chase a puppy out in the yard. You're just joining in. You've literally just acknowledged you're going to start playing a game with them. If you're yelling, no, be quiet when they're already barking, you're just barking with them. Okay, so you have to correct right before they actually do it, right before they actually bark, right before they actually chase. So that's how you get them to stop doing it. Is correct them prior. And the minute if you startle them, that's what you want to do, is startle them out of that thought. They know they're being corrected for that thought, because dogs live absolutely in the moment. Just like you can't correct a dog or scold a dog after they got in the garbage when you got home. I know y'all think they're upset by it and they know they did wrong. I'm absolutely 100% telling you they're responding to your reaction only. They don't even know what you're upset about. If you do it enough and you set your dog up for failure, that you've allowed him access to the garbage can without getting a lid or something, they will start preemptively that just when you come home, you're going to be upset if it happens a lot. So they're just ready. They're absolutely only feeding off your emotions and don't even know if it really even involves them, other than your direct emotions are directed toward them. All right? So catch them prior to the run. If your cat is a badass, not that the ones that run aren't, but if they are, and they're just going to swat them on the nose and let them know and hiss and even chase them back, perfect. Let that play out. Let that cat establish the rules, boundaries, and limitations. Remember, our needs of our puppies in order are, number 1, rules, boundaries, and limitations. Number 2, mental and physical exercise. 3rd, love and affection. We always flip-flop these, and this is why we have a lot of unstable dogs that deal with separation anxiety and just overall anxiousness and fear. So we want rules, boundaries, limitations. So if your cat can establish that on their own, that's beautiful. Let that happen. All right, that's cats. Dogs, we'll start at the beginning because this is where the question always begins is, I have a female dog at home. I have a male dog at home. They're 1, they're 12, they're this, they're that. Okay, overall, number 1, if it's a small or older dog that is done with, because a lot of people will get their puppy when they know their established dog is getting close to the end. That's common, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I need you to make sure you respect the older dog. It is imperative then just to put up fencing, baby gates, or make a little kennel that backs up to the door, and the puppy does not have free roam in the house. That's beautiful for so many reasons. 1, nothing in life is for free. You're laying a foundation of this puppy has to earn everything they get. And that goes back to rules, boundaries, limitations. You're meeting their very first need. Number 2, it's really easy to potty train. You can hang door bells on the door and teach them that the door opens when they have to go potty. So they're fenced in. They're in a confined space. It's literally backed up to the door they're going to go potty at. Just remember, especially for smarter breeds like our doodles, they'll literally learn that the bells gets you up and gives them attention. So at some point you're going to have to remove them, or the little stinkers will see a bird outside they got to go chase, and they start ding, 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 dinging the bells, and you're getting up and letting them out to chase birds. Whoops, not the reward I wanted. So make sure that you take those down. Good morning, Mama. My mom just joined. Okay. So confinement number 1 for an older dog. If it's a smaller dog, whether young or old, and they're going to say, I've had enough, make sure they're allowed on the couch. They can jump on the couch. That will be the puppy's warning that that's the timeout. I'm done. Just make sure you follow up with that. So the new puppy is not allowed on the couch, number 1. Okay? Because you're leaving that space a safe place for your established dog, smaller dog, and they need that. Number 2, correct the puppy before they put their front paws on the couch. So right when you see them start to go, clap and say, no, no, no. Get in between the couch and your puppy and stare. You cannot, every correction, this is why most dogs, the correction doesn't work, is we don't do the follow through. And that's incredibly important. So you're going to correct, you're going to body block. That's what dogs do. I'm standing between the couch and the puppy. I'm going to stare them down. If they try to go around me, get on the couch, I'm just going to move over. And I'm not going to stop that. I'm telling you this is not allowed. You don't even have to say a word. It's your presence. So mean it and feel it. And you can't stop until the puppy relents. What that looks like is they'll look away from you and take a deep sigh, or they'll toddle back off and be like, all right, fine, you win. Are they going to try to go back 2 seconds after you walk away? Yes, but you're waiting, because I'm teaching you to be a trainer, right? You're waiting. They will challenge that, whether it's right away, whether it's in an hour, whether it's the next day. That's what puppies should do, right? They're like, and I mean, it can be frustrating, but it's important. And I always look at it, it's another opportunity to make sure the puppies know I mean business. So when I say no, I mean it 100% of the time. So if the puppy goes back over the couch, like you're just watching, you're in training mode, you're just waiting, like, come on, like, let's go back to the couch so we can get this done. Let me remind you 1 more time, 2 more times, 3 more times, so we're done with this. Like, you cannot put your feet on my couch. But remember, you can't allow the puppy on the couch when you're sitting and watching a movie, but expect them not to try to jump up on the couch to be with the cat or the dog. That's very unfair and confusing. And dogs that have a confusing, inconsistent, unreliable human have lots of problems emotionally, okay? Like anybody would, right? Like you think about our children raised, and I'm not saying it's like this, but because we're not able to communicate correctly, it's still unstable. Think about our children raised with parents that are unstable and unreliable to them, how they can have more issues later on, or even in their childhood. You know, the fear of abandonment, feeling unsafe, it gives them anxiety. It's very similar to our dogs, and not that you're meaning to do that, but that's why I'm here, to ensure you're communicating correctly with your puppies. So that's what's unreliable, to even when you're a great person with a great heart. If you're inconsistent with rules, if you're wishy-washy, that's what they start to feel unsafe in their pack, and not safe by you. And then guess what? They don't trust you when you take them out to socialize. They don't trust you to protect them. They don't trust you that you truly understand them. And that's really what we want, what we don't want with our dogs. So be very cognizant, and you're not giving mixed messages. All right, so that's our smaller and older dogs. So let's talk about, well, do I get a male puppy, a female puppy? What do I do? And then we'll talk about play and boundaries with 2 dogs that should be acclimated and pack members together, okay? And even your smaller dogs can too, but remember, they just need some safety, because some bigger puppies don't realize their size and their strength, and it just gets too much for the smaller dogs. When bringing in a puppy, remember, this is absolutely different than bringing in another established dog that you don't know about, or, whatever, okay? This is a puppy, and we're able to guide a malleable puppy to what's acceptable. However, these are the questions normally, and don't think, please stop asking breeders if you can bring your established dog to meet the puppies to see if they like each other. There's no such thing. Your dog is either going to accept another pack member, or not? How are they with other dogs? If you don't really know, then you're probably going to be fine. Dogs are pack members. They prefer each other most of the time to you first and foremost, okay? Like they have someone else in the pack that completely understands them, that plays like them, that communicates, the same. So stop asking breeders to bring your dog to meet the puppy to see how it goes. There's no such thing. There's just not. And why are you giving the established dog power to say so? You need to just be, this is our new pack member. This is the way it will be. Remember, don't be wishy-washy and inconsistent. If you give them mixed messages, then they think there's actually something wrong with the puppy, right? And I will tell you, dogs will, not as much anymore because we've really humanized them, or taken the wild out of them, domesticated them. There we go, that's the word, domesticated them. But even in the wild or in large packs, and even in litters, the puppies they will pick on a weak dog if they know it's mentally unstable or physically not well. They absolutely will, because they're only as good as their weakest member. It's survival. So you bring this puppy in and you're like really concerned, and now you're starting to kind of feel bad and you're not sure, and you think that you should just be like, I'm so sorry, I'm bringing this puppy in, but let's all be friends and let's be family. They don't understand what you're saying. They understand by what you're feeling, and you're feeling ambivalence or pity, or you're sad, or you're unsure, or you're nervous. All you're doing is telling that established dog there's something wrong with the puppy. And all you're telling the puppy is there's something wrong with the established dog. So it starts with you. You are responsible for having a good pack. Okay, that's number one. I had to get that out of the way. Now, there are considerations. It's typically easier if you have a female to bring in a male. If you have a male to bring in a female. But really, that is only if you're bringing in a dog that you don't know. At some point, the dogs need to decide, hey, who's in charge? There's a natural pecking order, period. It should always be you at first. You should always be first. And if you're not, you bring in another dog. Now you're going to be under both of them, because they're going to decide who's alpha between them and who's second. And then you're dropping down to 3. That cannot happen. Then you will have problems. So, exchanging genders is 100%, that they're not 100, 99%, that there's not going to be that conversation later, who's in charge, and they both are bucking for promotion. And sometimes that conversation can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it is a little tiff. Chances are slim, though, when you bring home a puppy, because guess what? That puppy's been part of the pack, and your established dog should be raising them. And the puppy could end up being more assertive and dominant than your already established dog, but that transition happens naturally and beautifully, because your established dog naturally will be under them. They have no desire to peck for order. They're like, dude, you're it. That's fine. Like, you can be above me. And they're happy to be a follower. There's dogs that naturally want to lead, and dogs that naturally want to follow, just like people. Okay, so let that play out. It's a beautiful thing. But what we do look at, and it's not, evaluations aren't perfect. We're just taking a snippet into what we know about the puppy now. But if you have a dominant dog at home, and clients, this is what, if I asked you, do you have a dominant dog? Most people don't. You're like, well, what does that mean? Give me examples. Here we go. Are they kind of the bully at the dog park? And I hope you actually don't even go to dog parks, but I know most of you do. It's fine. But remember, you can't control the environment, and your dog could get attacked, or they could attack a dog, which you don't want either. So are they kind of the bully at the dog park? Or even if you have family or friends, and when you guys get together, you bring your dogs. I love you, by the way. And if your dog is a little bit bossy and may, push other dogs around and growl, or take the food first, never share the toys, like just overall a dominant dog, they're the ones in charge, then typically we don't want, doesn't matter the female still that comes in, because there's this natural order between males and females, but we want to look at same gender. So if you have a dog dominant, not human dominant, it's two very different things. If you have a dog dominant dog, you typically don't want to have an assertive puppy of the same gender. Typically. I'm saying like 20%, you wouldn't want that. Like it's so minimal because again, they're going to have this conversation and almost always the established dog will hold dominance. You absolutely may at some point have your also dog dominant assertive puppy challenge the already established dog, but that conversation should be short, very short. Your established dog will say, nice try. Nice try. Not going to happen in your puppy because it's younger and it was raised by your established dog. Absolutely should back off. How many problems have we had where a puppy grew up and it fought with the established dog? I can't even think of any right now. That's how slim it happens. Now, if you're given both your dogs mixed messages, you're inconsistent, then there could be problems. But it doesn't matter what puppy you take home, you're gonna have problems because your pack isn't balanced because of you. All right. So other considerations with a dog is play. At what point is it not play and it's not healthy? Number one, the same thing about cats. You will have a submissive dog run as their way of saying, you're too much for me right now, or I've had enough of you pulling at my ears, trying to nurse on me, like initially, right? Like just, you're all up in my space, you're on my bed, you're trying to eat my food, you're taking my toys. First of all, humans, you should be moderating some of that so your established dog doesn't feel that way. Your established dog should not have any rules changed or protocols changed because you got a puppy. An example of that is, and I love you guys. This is how much we're humanizing dogs. People will say, well, my dog's 5 years old and hasn't needed a kennel for years. Do I have to put them back in the kennel so the puppy thinks it's fair? Are you kidding me right now? Do you see how silly that sounds? No, now you're punishing your neutral established dog, number one. And that's it. That's not fair. The puppy has to earn their right, their freedom by doing the same things you required of your established dog. It is not an even thing. If you allow your established dog to sleep on the bed, I don't care, but that puppy should be sleeping in a kennel next to you guys. That puppy has not earned that right. Do not change anything with your established dog. When you start doing that, then you could create problems. And your established dog is wondering, why am I having to do this because of this puppy now? Okay? So don't change anything with your established dog. Don't feel bad. Don't have ambivalence. Don't waver. You as their leader need to be matter of fact. You're in the kennel. You're up on my bed. Done. Okay? Feeding too. Don't let the puppy eat your established dog's food. Established dogs will, one or two, just like cats, they'll stand up for themselves or they won't. If they stand up for themselves and give a lip curl and maybe a low growl, you're coming next to my food, it's not allowed, let them do that. If it escalates and that puppy's not listening, your established dog will absolutely and maybe even put their teeth on them, and your puppy's going to scream like they just were killed. And you're like, well, good. Maybe now you'll listen to my established dog. Let that happen. Now, there are some dogs that have attacked and killed puppies, and I really hope that's not the case. But in normal, healthy pack testing order, that's what will happen. So be prepared, and don't you dare scold the established dog, and don't you dare go to the puppy and coddle him and pick him up. You stand neutral. You let that play out. You let it be. Stay out of it unless you think there's a concern of safety because your established dog is not balanced. Okay, so you'll let that play out. Now, if your established dog will not stand up for themselves, they're a total pushover, and like, God love them, they just won't stand up for themselves. You have to do it as the alpha, as their leader, as being consistent and fair, and to earn respect, you have to do that. So again, that comes back to confinement. You cannot go around all day and change your dog's name to no. This is what happens. You leave shoes out. No, no, no. The puppy's, mouthing you. No, stop. No. The dog's over picking on your established dog. No, no, no. That's not what your day should look like with your puppy. So Get rules, boundaries, and limitations. Don't set them up to fail, that they're just doing everything wrong during the day, and to them, they're just doing normal puppy things, right? So confinement is great. And then what your day should look like is you're not having to correct very often at all. That makes you a badass owner. If you feel like all you're doing is telling your puppy no, you are failing. So you cannot expect your puppy to treat your established dog with politeness. Puppies just don't. They don't know boundaries or being a puppy. It's for you. So confinement and setting your puppy up for success. Again, if you are feeling like you're just telling your puppy no 100 times a day, that you're failing as a badass owner. Let's change the environment so they're not set up to fail. They don't have access to shoes. They don't have full access to your dog. They don't have access to your furniture. They don't have access even to you all the time. So I'm not saying no, no, no. I'm going to meet their needs in order, rules, boundaries, and limitations first. I'm going to do mental and physical exercise with my puppies several times a day. I'm going to give them love and affection when they're in a calm state of mind. Now you're owning your pack. Man, your puppy respects you. Your established dog is like, I'm loving this. I'm going to be friends with this puppy. You are creating a neutral, balanced pack by honoring both of your dogs at the same time. Okay? You can't keep scolding your puppy all day long. And the only things I scold my puppy for when they first come home is biting me. I do my best to set them up that I never have to scold them for anything else. In fact, I'm constantly praising them for all the good they do. I want as much positive as possible, but don't misunderstand me. When they step out of line or do something that is absolutely not okay, that could have affected their mental and physical health later on, I'm absolutely bound to my responsibility of owning a dog to let them know that will not happen. So biting, for example, and we should do a biting show. I'll add that to the list. We'll do about puppy biting. But if they don't have access to chase and bite at my kids all the time and chase my feet and my legs all the time, that's a win right there, number one. I'm not having to say no, no, no. Those are all normal puppy things do, right? So if they're in confinement and they're going to start earning their rights slowly, then they don't have access to all the biting. When they are just kind of mouthing normal puppy stuff, I will ignore and redistract them, distract them to something else. And or then if they just get too spun up, guess what? Let's do some mental games. Let's back up. Let's do some mental and physical challenges. And or they might need a nap. Let's go, let's put your bed in your kennel and open it up or whatever, and it's nap time. Put them in their confinement area. If you're taking them out of the confinement area back and forth, though, they're not going to be good in the confinement area. They're gonna resist that because you've shown them I can be out and run around the house sometimes, and sometimes I can't. So really, we keep our puppies in the confinement area. And, it may be 3-4 days and we can go more space. And before you know it, they're out running the house. Like, take the time. It's okay. Don't feel bad for them. They had to earn everything. You're actually creating a very safe and respectful environment and laying that foundation with your dog. It's not a bad thing. So, but what I will correct is if they really come at me and hurt me. Like, that's an immediate and firm correction. That's 100%. You can't keep letting that go, or sometimes correct and sometimes not. Then again, there's a lot of miscommunication and you're not reliable. So that's the only thing I'll correct a puppy on. I don't set them up to fail, so I'm not correcting them all the time. And when I do correct a man, I mean it. And I am firm and immediate, and I follow through every single time. You shouldn't have a puppy putting their teeth on you after 3 days if you correct them correctly. If you have a puppy biting you and tearing your clothes and chewing on your feet and your legs and the bottom of your pants after 3 days, that's on you. You've not told that puppy any different. All right? All right, those are some considerations when bringing home a puppy with other pets in the home. A lot of it is up to you, truly. Do we have any questions? Bring on the questions. Kristen says, good morning. I'm listening while driving with a stud in the back of my van and my dog in heat. This is a breeder, by the way, guys. Although, Kristen, if you're driving with a human stud, good for you. It's very lively. Wish me luck. Thank you for all the amazing info you give. Yeah. Putting an unfixed male and a female in heat in a car together, very lively, that's right. Hopefully one is in a kennel so you can have a safe drive when we have to do that. At least one is in a kennel, and it's usually the male, because the male will just start lifting its leg on the kennel and being obnoxious, because that's how boys are. So drive safe, Kristen. Good luck with your future breeding. Exciting. All right, any last questions today? Are we good? Are we good this Friday? That's always a good thing too. All right, you guys. I'm Jeanette with 40 Kennels and Badass Breeder and Healing Hearts. We're not only healing hearts and changing lives through the power of a dog, but we're also changing breeding from bad to badass. And I'm taking thousands of breeders with me. My ultimate mission and goal is to leave a small mark in this world to help our dogs, to ensure we're respecting and honoring our dogs, we're communicating with our dogs, and to stop puppy mills and ill-intentioned backyard breeders. Truly, our dogs deserve more. As the public, I am begging you to stop buying from anybody where you don't know the breeder's name, you don't know the breeder, you can't have some transparency and honesty. And the first thing you should ask a breeder is, can I return this dog if something happens, with me personally or whatever. I don't even care the reason. Can I return the dog to you? If the breeder will not take back a dog, do not buy from them, because then they are part of the problem with dogs going to shelters and rescues. If breeders took their dogs back when needed, do you see how shelter numbers will go down and rescue numbers will go down and euthanasia percentages will go down? And you're also then not putting money in the pockets of a puppy mill or ill-intentioned backyard breeder. Simple. One question. Will you take back this dog at any time? There you got it. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for all of your love and support and being on this journey with me to improve breeding, to give good breeding a respectful name as it should, giving our dogs more. They truly deserve more for all they do for us.